BMW introduced one of its most fervently worshipped cars of all time, the 2002 Turbo, packing BMW's first turbo engine into a lightweight body. Has BMW created a new coupe derived of the same formula? It's often said that small is beautiful. The idea of a BMW smaller than a 3 Series has struck us as a beautiful thing. The BMW 135i, a new ultimate driving machine.
Alright, well let's start with the price. And there's no need to sugarcoat it. It ain't cheap. The 135 starts at around $35,000, but the one we've got here is pushing $43,000. It's got the same 3-liter, 300 horsepower engine as the 335 and the 535. It'll do a 0 to 60 time in 5.1 seconds, and to put that in perspective, that's only half a second shorter than an M3. 50 to 75 in 4th gear, that happens in 5 seconds, and that may seem like a lot, but it's only a tenth of a second longer than an M3. So in short, this is an M3 that fits in your pocket. So what do you get for all that money? Well, one word: performance. How did they tweak out all this performance? Well, they saved weight wherever they could. I mean, obviously it's smaller than the 3 Series by about 6 inches in length, but they also made it a whole lot lighter, 200 pounds. I mean, for example, the bolts used in the engine are made of aluminum, and they weigh about a third as much as steel bolts would. And the fewer fancy gizmos it has on the inside, the less it weighs. There's no such thing as sport mode on this car. It's always fast, it's always loud. It is, of course, a very simple equation. Small car plus big power equals massive amounts of fun, and this car's got it. BMW knows the kind of people that are going to buy this want pure performance out of the car, so they didn't try to hide that. The styling says it all. You get the same front fascia that you would on an M3 to force air into the brakes and to give you that downforce that you need for good cornering. I mean, it's almost as though the BMW engineers designed this car because they wanted something more fun to drive on their way to work. And if anybody else wanted to buy one, so much the better. I mean, basically, BMW has been caught up in making cars for young executives to show off all the blinking lights, all the ways that they can control the suspension and the drive and the gear ratios, and none of it amounts to anything more than excess. So with this, they're getting back to their roots. I mean, this is the most BMW car that BMW has made in a long time. And now, if you're like everybody else in the automotive world, you're probably saying $43,000. That sounds like 3 Series money. Why shouldn't I just get one of those? And that's a fair question. I mean, that keeps winning awards, right? It's got the same great engine, and it's got even more Jones's impressing panache to piss off the neighbors down the street. Well, let me frame the question a different way. Why, if you were getting a 2-door coupe, would you get the slower one that doesn't perform as well? And don't think you're sacrificing any of the luxuries that you'd expect on a 3 Series either. I mean, the 135 is a very comfortable place to sit. There's so much attention to detail and nice things in it. I love that it comes with cruise control and an iPod input and standard xenon headlights. I kind of just want to drive it somewhere. Now, that's not to say it's perfect, of course. The suspension, for one, is a little bit too soft. They tried to cut a corner and make it a little bit more comfortable, and there's just no need. I mean, this isn't a car that's going to be driven by anything but people who love this twin-turbo nirvana and off-the-wall handling. As a result, it ends up bottoming out sometimes, and there's a little bit too much body roll in the corners for our taste. Now, the debate will probably rage until the end of time as far as BMW's wisdom in introducing a compact coupe that competed directly with its midsize coupe, its award-winning midsize coupe. And that's fine, but in the end, there is no debate about how good this car is on its own merits. It is quite simply a joy to drive. Now, people are having trouble seeing past the price point, and I'll admit that it is in 3 Series territory, but I'm seeing the 135 as more of a real alternative to the M3. Now, before you start the flame wars, don't get me wrong. Obviously, the M3 and the 135 aren't true equals as far as raw performance goes. And if you're the sort of guy that spends his trust fund on days at the track, or you spend your Friday nights looking for RS4s to race between stoplights, then by all means, stick with the M3. But if you're the sort of person that likes to drive in the real world, then this is everything you could hope for and more. All in all, we think the 135 is the best bang for the buck BMW has produced in quite some time. And if you're looking for a sports coupe that's all about pure performance, exhilaration, and just downright fun factor, without sacrificing any of the luxuries BMW is known for, then look no further than the 135. Don't think so? Well, let us know in our forums. I'm Jeremy Lusk, and we'll see you next time on WebRidesTV. I can't believe that was a sheriff. I gotta cop check more often.